Welcome to another episode of Third and One. Today's guest is the 2015 CFL rushing touchdown leader and tied for the most touchdowns of the season in 2017. Please welcome Jeremiah Johnson. Welcome to the show, Jeremiah.
Oh, man, thanks for having me. Oh, man, thank you for having me. I appreciate you having me on.
Right on. What have you been up to during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Man, just a lot of just relaxing with family, staying quarantined and, working and, just making sure, everybody on my end is staying healthy.
Right on. Are you still staying in season shape too, just in case?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. You gotta stay right. The workout, don't leave if you ain't playing ball no more. You just, just gotta do it for other reasons now.
That's right. All right. So you grew up in Los Angeles, California. At what age did you start playing football?
I started getting into football around 7. My family was a big sports family. Playing a lot of basketball, football, and more football than any other sport. I was able to see, a lot of family members go, and just ball out, and so that was something that you could almost say I was to do, just to get out there and play some sports and go have fun.
Nice. You went to Dorsey High in LA, and in your senior season, you were regarded as one of the top 3 running backs in your region. What are some of the memories that stand out to you the most during high school?
Most definitely the camaraderie with the guys that you're able to be around with for 4 years. You get a chance to, laugh and, joke and kid around with a lot of good people, friends that become family. But the most prevalent memory that I have, I was a sophomore. And at this time, I was just known as my big brother's little brother. His name was Jerome, so they called me nothing but Lil Rome, or his little brother. That was my name, and I was just kind of getting on the scene. I had a good JV year, and I was just coming up playing with the big boys. And the first round playoffs, we were most definitely an underdog by like 21 points, and we go down to Franklin High. We play Franklin High, and it's a tough battle. And we go into it's like an overtime, and I literally scored 5 touchdowns, and 4 of those touchdowns were called back. The first one, I went up, ran to the right, and there was a holding call by my big brother. Called back, moved the ball back 10 yards. Then ran another one. I ended up stiffing arming the guy, and I grabbed his face mask. Now we back some more. Then another guy held and clipped. And then, but to make a long story short, I ended up scoring a matter of 5 times, and it was literally carry after carry. So if you can imagine, score a touchdown, get called back, score another touchdown, get called back, score another touchdown, get called back. And that's when people were really starting to see who I was as a player, and that was the instant where I began to separate myself as, that's Jeremiah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you play any other sports when you were in school?
Yeah, I got involved in basketball, ran track, played a little bit of soccer, but with soccer there was a bit of a language barrier, so I had to had to lay that one to rest.
All right. After high school, you went on to the University of Oregon and helped lead the Ducks to the 2008 Holiday Bowl against Oklahoma State. You finished 6th all-time in team rushing yard history. What can you tell me about your time with the Ducks?
Oh man, my time with the Ducks, man, going to Oregon was most definitely a blessing and an eye opener for sure. For starters, I was able to meet a lot of great men, a lot of great young men, and I was able to, you know, pick and prod little pieces of how they act into how into how I act as a man. That's one of the first eye openers of kind of being on my own. So that was most definitely something that those guys that I named, had a big instrumental help into making me, almost believe in myself as a man and believe in myself as a football player.
Okay. So I'm a big Philadelphia Eagles fan, so I got to ask you what it was like to play for Chip Kelly. He was your offensive coach. So
Yeah, man. Chip Kelly is an amazing, amazing coach. Um, I just think there's two sides of him. I was able to experience the offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, where he's not totally taken over, but it is his offense. One thing that I did take from him and I relationship was, when he first came in, this is guy come from Hampton, you're like, oh, okay, he finna make this whole other offense. You gotta learn this whole new scheme. And he called me in his office and set me down so I can understand his philosophy. And at first, I was like not buying not buying it at all. But then he set me down and threw on some film of this guy that was just tearing it up, and just going hard. And I'm seeing the options, I'm seeing all the different looks, I'm seeing all the different variables in the offense, and it was very intriguing. And he told me, how fast that guy is. I'm like, he got to be running like a 4.45. He's like, no, he runs a 4.9. And I'm like, no way. And he's eating like that. And that right there made me a believer. And for that season that he coached me, it was most definitely, something where I was just like, I'm glad I brought it into the system. I'm glad that I was able to take in his coaching and and display it out on the field.
right on. In 2009, you ended up signing with the Houston Texans. You also spent time with Washington and Carolina before you ended up in Denver in 2011, where you played in 8 NFL games. What was your time like in the NFL?
Um, you know, my experiences, I would never exchange them for anything else, because I was able to grow as a football player, and most definitely as someone to actually know the game for what it is and actually be able to work my way and to make my progressions easier in the game. Playing for Houston was a you know was awesome, but all in all, it was most definitely a letdown, because not playing for Houston, but as far as where I was supposed to go in the draft, I'm saying, not trying to talk to nobody because I'm just nervous. I don't know what's gonna happen. And Mel Kiper come on and he's talking me up really good and saying he's one of the best top 5 backs coming out this draft this year. And you start starting to feel good about yourself, and you're like, yeah, okay, it's happening. This is really happening.
Yeah.
Then that first round come, and you're not gonna be the first 50 or whatever, but you're most definitely optimistic. And then that first round goes by, that second round go by, you get a call, team say, hey, we're looking to come get you. So you're like excited. And then the third round go by, then the fourth round go by. Then you start really thinking like, what the heck is going on? And you're calling your agent, you're yelling and screaming at your agent, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. And then, you got the family trying to console you, but you ain't trying to hear all that. And, you keep slipping and slipping and slipping. And come to find out, which made me feel a whole lot better, because when a lot of guys don't get drafted, they get the misconception of, oh, I'm not good enough, or this other guy is better than me, or, oh, they just looking for something in particular. But, in my situation, it was just, I had a tore up shoulder. I had a torn right labrum in my shoulder. And I was able to play within my senior season. I pulled off 1,200 yards plus 13 touchdowns, and I was blessed to talk to Houston right after the draft. They called me literally 3 minutes after the draft, offered me a deal, and I was able to take it and let them know like, hey, my shoulder's messed up, and I know you know that. Like, yeah, we understand. We still believe in your talents. We want you to come and help us trying to win a Super Bowl. And that's one of the things where you start feeling good about yourself. Like, cool. I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna go hard, and the family is now cheering again and happy, and and that was most definitely something that at that at that moment where you think there's no way that I'll be able to play in the NFL, and you get that shot, and make it what you want to make it.
Yeah. So after the NFL in 2014, you made your way up to Canada to play in the CFL, signing with Toronto. At the time, what did you know about the CFL?
At the time, man, honestly, man, I didn't know nothing about the CFL. All I really knew is that there are only a small amount of teams. There were like a whole bunch of people on the field. I knew that it was a goalpost was in a weird area. It was something that was just crazy. So yeah, that's all I really knew about the league.
Three downs.
3 downs, absolutely 3 downs, and yeah, that was most definitely something that took me back.
Yeah, for sure. So you split the 2014 season with Toronto and Ottawa, and in 2015, you become the number one back in Ottawa. You end up in the IR with a season-ending injury. How'd you feel about the way things ended after you seemed to have hit your groove with the Red Blacks?
Um, you know, that's a whole story in itself, and I'm glad you asked me that so we can get into it. Because a lot of people ask me that question. You know, coming up first, I was in Toronto. That's where it all started in Toronto. You know what I'm saying? They gave me a shot coming from the league. Um, was able to go out there and battle some great backs to get the starting position, and battling guys like my man Curtis Steele. Um, I think at the time Cackard was hurt, so they really needed a back in there, and you know, I didn't really know the importance of having an American running back on the roster. As far as the Canadian ratio goes. So when I first got there, I was thinking that, hey, yeah, it could be maybe 3 or 4 Americans on the roster, but I was most definitely got a surprise when they said, "Oh, we're only taking 2," and it's 4 of us that's in camp. Was able to fight through that. Uh, Unfortunately, ended there. And when I was in Ottawa, I was able to show people what I got, man. I think in 10 games, I scored 9 touchdowns, had a couple hat tricks, and people were really starting to say, okay, oh, this kid, he got something. And unfortunately, we came with that foot injury that we talked about in your question, and you know, that was something that I think that I know that I was misdiagnosed because I was injured in the first week. I was babying it a lot and not trying to put weight on it. They thought I had plantar fasciitis, which is something that's very, very serious. Not a lot of running backs or anybody that plays the game of football comes back from that 100% and able to go out there with no pain. And at that time, I'm sitting here with my wife, and she's like, you got up this morning to go use the bathroom without no crutches or no boot. And I'm like, nah, She's like, yeah. And so I'm start testing. Oh man, it don't even hurt like that. I'm not getting your usual swelling. I'm not getting your the blood going through, showing like a bruise on the foot. I'm not getting any of that. And literally after 3-4 weeks, I was able to go out there and run and play and just run around, but they would never put me back on, as far as the active roster because of the IR deal. And I just think when it comes down to it, that's another business move that they had to make. As far as that was my contract year, they really didn't touch bases with me on what I expected from them as far as financially. And I just think they wanted to go another route, and so that would spur me to go to BC, to where I was able to do my thing.
Right. So you talked a little bit there about Brian Dawkins, and you and I have discussed previously about the double locker room.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you can tell listeners about that.
Oh, absolutely. Brian Dawkins. is a Hall of Famer, man, and he wears that jacket like a beast. It's funny because, I talk about him a lot, to all my friends and family, because he's most definitely played an instrumental part in my development as a football player and as a man. He's extremely spiritual, and I appreciate that part of him. But this man has I don't even know what to call it, man. It's not a mean streak, but it's a I'm about to get in your ass streak. But he would pray for you before he do that. If you understand what I'm saying. One thing that I know in the locker room, like you say, he has two lockers, one for Brian Dawkins and one for Weapon X. When he first comes in, he sits in the Brian Dawkins locker. He's talking, got his cup of Joe, and he's just talking and doing his thing. And an hour before practice, Brian Dawkins leaves the building. Weapon X comes, and nobody's talking to Weapon X, and he sits in that locker and he gets ready for practice, and he's extremely intense, even in practice. And, in this particular instance, I was tasked to mimic Reggie Bush. We were going to play New Orleans, and the emphasis on me trying to mimic him was, actually getting guys to miss and, one step and going. And, get into practice and, we get into the fifth rep, and it's a play where it's like an ISO to the right where had the fullback going, blocking the guy, and I was able to break the first line, the linebackers, and it's now just me and Brian Dawkins. And the first thought is like, oh man, here it comes, Thought you're gonna come and smack me, but I'm saying I'm gonna do what Reggie Bush do, you know what I'm saying? And I gave him something, like woo woo, gave him something, and I got him, and I took off another 15. And while I'm going back to the huddle, he yells at me like, youngster, get over here, come here right now, get over here. And I'm like, oh snaps, what did I do, right? I upset this madman right now. Like, he about to get on my butt right now. He grabbed me by the chest. He's like, that's what I'm talking about. That's how you practice. I want you to do that every time you come up to me. I want you to give me some of that good stuff. And I was like, you sure you want some of this? He's like, give it to me, So I'm like, all right, cool. So the next play, he had him run the play back. A couple plays later, same thing. And I, gave him the same thing, but a little bit more. And he was all on top of that stuff, man. And I was just like, oh, man, he dope, And what's funny is because in the game, the same situation happened. Reggie Bush busts up the middle, and it's just him and Reggie. And he smacked Reggie, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So it made me feel like I was most definitely important in my role of being a practice squad player because, what we do for our starting defense is what they're, getting ready for the game. And it's funny, one of the stats that I pride myself on that year, we were the number 3 defense in the league. And, I always tell my wife, that was because of me, that was because of me, because I used to go hard on her, But, Brian Dawkins is a most definitely special man, special player, and he's most definitely the GOAT, greatest of all time.
Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorite Philadelphia Eagles of all time, for sure. Absolutely. All right, in 2016, you signed with the BC Lions. You were the primary running back, setting career highs in carries and yards, and finished the season 5th in the league in yards. You also played the 2017 and 2018 seasons with the Lions as the number 1 running back. What can you tell me about your time with the Lions?
BC. Man.
That's my team.
Man, I know, man. I love it. I love it there, man. It's so awesome because I was able to play under a great man, a great coach under Wally Buono, man. And the reason why I like him and love him so much is that I do remember one instance with him and I. My first year on the team, we're in camp, second day of camp, and I've done some good things that first day. You know what I'm saying? Where, he's got the little smirk on his face while I pass by. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'm gonna make this team for sure, And he said, Jeremiah, I said, what up, coach? He goes, I could find another one just like you. somewhere else. And I'm like, damn, what that mean? And I'm like, I'm gonna play cool. Shit, I'm the best one you got. What you talking about? You're like, no, those running backs, someone's right now trying to call me right now. I can get another one. And so with that, a lot of other players uh will kind of get mad about that. But I use that as a challenge. Like, okay, I'm gonna show you something, Wally. I'm gonna show you that one, I can take all your double days, I can take all the running, I can take all the coaching, hard coaching you give, because I want to be the best. And I know you want to pull the best out of us. And and he did that. We were balling, and I think the reason why we're such a close knit team and why we're out there balling, because of the love that we have for our coach.
So in 2017, you had 913 yards, 9 touchdowns on the ground, and had over 500 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns as a receiver. Did you always consider yourself to be a double threat running back?
Absolutely, man. I got hands. They're most definitely certified to go catch anything, and that's what something I was most confident in. And being in the CFL, where I'm able to become a every down back, because in the league I was just classified as a third down back. So my hands, everyone was questioning, not my hands, but that's, as a third down back, you have to know how to catch. And so I caught the ball really well. And when I got in the CFL, that was something where I was just like, well, I thought like, hey, I probably won't get as many receptions because we got 5 receivers out there. It's a lot of options to throw, until I met Travis Lule. He was one of the guys who said, hey, if I ain't got nothing downfield, I'm coming right down to you. Just get in that spot where we practice, and I'm going to get it to you. And he was able to teach me, hey, get in this view, get that ball within the 2 to 3 yard range, and I could take off for 15, 20. I used to tell, as a joke, I used to tell Jonathan Jennings and Lule, like, hey, that little 3 yard pass you're giving me, I can make it a bomb. I can go 30. I can go 30, just let me have it. And that was something that was really cool, because both Jonathan Jennings and Lule was just dumping it. You know what I'm saying? I was able to do my thing on the other end.
For sure. So in 2019, you signed with the Montreal Alouettes. Was there an offer from the Lions, or was it a mutual split?
I'm gonna call it a mutual split. But I wanted to stay in BC because of my family, first of all. I didn't want to uproot my daughter from school. It was a situation where I just wanted, to just stay in one spot. You know what I'm saying? And in my career as a Lion. But when you get the news that you're gonna have a new GM, you're gonna have a new coach. I thought I did enough to, be within that number. I do know, and I will say this about the situation, that there was a invisible line drawn in the sand of Wally's guys and the new GM guys. Because when you seen that whole little shift, you seen a lot of guys from Edmonton coming to BC, and you can kind of feel a divide in the locker room. But for me, I didn't really care about it. I just wanted to play football for the BC Lions. No matter where you come from or where you came from, I just wanted to be a Lion. And unfortunately, it didn't work out like that.
Yeah, I think you had the best part of your career was definitely with the BC Lions. You put up some really big numbers.
Yeah.
The team excelled. I think the team was going to go further than it went, but Wally retired, and they bring in a new coach, new GM, and things happen, right? So
yeah, you just got to think about the team that we had. We've been together for 3 years, so when you think about the whole grand scheme of things, this is a team that would have been together for 4 years now. We've been through ups and downs. We've been able to laugh and cheer for each other. We've been able to cry and just, just be there for one another in the hard times. And I just think the letdown we did have was going to come with a bigger, with a bigger surprise at the end. Why, Brian Burnham? We had a squad, you know what I'm saying? And we've been together, gelling together for a whole 3 years, where only a couple guys will leave here and there. Rolly Lambala, one of the greatest CFL fullbacks to ever walk the earth, you know what I'm saying? So, we just had a squad. And I remember talking to those guys and saying, bro, next year we going to the Grey Cup. And that was most definitely something that was going to be prevalent because we believed it. And what we done to get to the point where we were at, we said we got the formula. We know what we have to do to become Grey Cup champions. But, when a new guy comes, he wants his own stamp on it. And I understand any new guy coming to a situation with a well-profound coach. And when everyone refers to the BC Lions as Wally's team, you kind of want to get up under that shadow. And I understand, but sometimes things are meant to be done gradually, then abruptly.
For sure. So last season with Montreal, you were the second running back behind William Stanback. How was it for you to go from the number one guy in BC to playing behind Stanback?
It wasn't hard at all, man. Because if you go back into my career, even going from high school, was in the backfield with the GOAT, Stephon Johnson. We were the Johnson boys, brothers back in the day. We ripped things up together, going to college. Jonathan Stewart, you know what I'm saying? LeGarrette Blount, being able to share carries and dominate. And so, being able to come up with, we can even go BC with myself and with my man Allen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We tore stuff up. And so, having a running mate is nothing different to me. I'm just lucky enough to have a running mate who was able to take constructive criticism, who was able to listen and didn't have that, oh, this is my backfield type of mentality. William Stanback is grew from a co-worker to a brother, you know what I'm saying, in our relationship. And, we had a situation where, we're sitting down and we're just chopping it up. How can I get better? What can I do better? And just chopping it up and just building that good rapport with each other. And it showed out there on the field. He was a young kid from New York, you know what I'm saying? And he was able to earn that starting position, from the year previous. So who am I to come and trying to discredit what he done to claim that right? But I'm just lucky to have a guy like him in our backfield who welcomed me with open arms, and we were able to converse with each other and compare notes and just do everything together. And you just see in his game where he was able to grow as a player and he was able to grow as a man.
For sure. Were you a big trash talker? What was the stupidest thing you can remember being said to you?
Man, I've had some things said to me that was downright just disrespectful. I had things said to me that were just downright what do you call it? Like Like what? One thing I do remember, this one guy we were playing Montreal, playing with BC, playing Montreal. The game where I rushed for 160. And this guy, he barks at me and he says something in French. And I'm like, and I was able to go back to him and say, wow, so you talking about my mama now, huh? And his eyes got so wide, like, oh, how do you know what I was talking about? But for me, I'm not a trash talker, but I'm more of hanging on the fact that everything I say is true. So, for example, if I dogged you or ran you over, I'm gonna get up and say, "Ooh, boy, you need to get some quarters in your pockets. You feel a little light." Things that can kind of get under a guy's skin because it's true. I like shaking a guy and being like, "Ooh," when I do it. Like, "Oh my goodness," "Oh my goodness," like, "Ooh." Running back to the huddle, like, "Oh," just laughing. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm out there having fun. I'm not going out there to hurt nobody's feelings, and I never call nobody out of their name unless they really, 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 unless it's really necessary. Um, you know, a lot of guys think they're so tough, when they got the helmet on, and off the field is a whole different story. So you got to take that into consideration as well. It's the heat of the game, it's the love of the game, and trash talking is something that's just a part of the game that's really fun to do if you're really good at it.
So now that you've retired, what are your plans for the future? Could you see yourself coaching?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of my goals. I want to get out there and coaching. I want to start in the college ranks. You know what I'm saying? I want to be just around the game still. It's funny because my wife asks me all the time, "Are you starting to miss the game yet?" And I'm like, "Well, no, not yet. I'm not really missing it because ain't nobody else playing." So it's like I had the crystal ball. You know what I'm saying? Like I retired at the right time. Not knowing that this COVID stuff was going to be happening, but it's just one of them situations where the game is always going to be in my heart. Um, I'm gonna always miss the camaraderie. I'm gonna always miss just being around the locker room feel, being able to wake up and knowing what you're getting into, being able to, call a friend and be like, "Hey, what's up with this play?" Or, you know, have like a VA hit you up and say, "Hey, this is what I've been thinking." Or, "Hey, Lule hitting you up and say, "Hey, what about if you go 3 more yards downfield and make it right?" You know what I'm saying? Like those are the things that I think I'll be missing the most. But I most definitely want to just stay in it by becoming a college coach and eventually becoming an NFL coach and just getting out there, getting my name out there, and just getting kids in the right situation, because I just think now in these times you have a lot of kids that's growing up with this whole social media era, and they're like thinking they're God as at 15, 16, 17 years old. And when I was growing up, you had to earn every little piece of notoriety that was given to you. We didn't have a chance to post workouts on social media and have a like, "Hey, look what I'm doing" type of attitude. We did what we did behind closed doors, and when it came on that gridiron, that's when you show what you're made of. And so I just want to kind of push that on to the next generation and saying like, "Hey, what you do on this field is way more important than what you do on social media. Yeah, it's cool to have a following. Yeah, it's cool to do all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's what you're doing on social media is going to make you the best football player." And that's what I want to kind of push on to the next generation. I've been able to learn so much. And I just think I would it would be a discredit for me not to go out there and push my philosophies and what I've been taught on the younger people.
For sure. So you played with a lot of great players in your career, but which player were you most impressed by?
Oh man. Oh man, you push me into a corner right here. Push me
Yeah.
into a corner.
There might be a few, eh?
Oh yeah, it's a few, man. One in particular, Peyton Manning. He was a guy who seen me as a undrafted guy, a guy who was on the cusp of being active, on the cusp of, doing great things, um, and he just took me under his wing and just taught me, his ways, how to study, how to prepare for a game, how to prepare for a practice. And I remember when he was just coming off the neck injury and he had just got to Denver, he was looking for somebody to throw to. And I was always the guy that was always around the facility, whether it's for me talking to coaches, whether it's me working out, whether it's me just doing my own thing on film. And he tapped me in the shoulder like, "Hey man, you think you catch for me?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" You know what I'm saying? This is Peyton Manning we talking about. And so, with that being said, I was able to see his whole progression from having his neck injury to being the great quarterback he continued to be.
So you've always been the guy dancing around and having fun on the field and the sidelines. But who's the funniest player that you played with?
Oh man, the funniest player, hands down, Chris Rainey. He's hilarious. The things that come out of his mouth is crazy, funny. I think it's more funny because he don't think he funny, but he is hilarious.
I got Chris lined up on the show next, so I'm gonna have to tell him you said that.
Yeah, tell him he gonna say, "Come on, dog,
That's hilarious. Do you have any superstitions?
Superstitions. Yes. A couple things. When I first come out for pre-game in the field, I'm always looking for my wife. I gotta make sure they right. I gotta make sure, she comfortable so I can be comfortable. When I come out that tunnel, I'm always looking for them, looking for my daughter, looking for my son. I'm able to make eye contact with them. It makes me feel better. It calms my spirits. It gives me the feel like, okay, now I can go out there and do my thing. So most definitely going out there, making eye contact with my family, and giving them the 2 pats on the chest and a blow and a kiss. It most definitely makes my days way better.
That's awesome. Yeah, when I played ice hockey, and I still do it actually, I put everything on the left side of my body on first.
Nice.
And so it's still like left sock, left arm in the jacket first.
Nice.
And I've just recently noticed I still do it. So it's kind of silly, but it works. So, yeah, it works. So, all right. So we're getting to the end of the show, near the end of the show with Jeremiah Johnson. So we'll get into the quick hits. First question, your favorite NFL team?
Denver Broncos.
First car you owned?
Mercedes-Benz C300.
Nice. Do you believe in UFOs?
Yes.
Shower or bath?
Shower, most definitely shower.
Thank you. Bola Combo said bath. I was surprised.
I don't know how you could just sit in the bath.
Yeah, he said it was relaxed time, so I'll let him have it.
Did he say with bubbles?
No, but I should ask him that next time I talk to him. What's your game day meal?
Game day meal. Games normally at night or in the afternoon, so I like to go with some eggs mixed with a little vegetables, some bell pepper, onions, with some potatoes on the side and some fruit and OJ.
Right on. Favorite music artist?
Favorite music artist? A longtime fan of Lil Wayne. But I'm starting. I don't have a favorite just yet. There's a lot of young cats coming up in the game, so I still gotta hold off on that one.
All right. What scares you the most?
To be honest with you, what scares me the most, and what just started to scare me the most, is those new what's them thing? The human killer hornets.
Those killer wasps. Oh, murder wasps.
Yes, murder. Oh my goodness, those things are humongous. I'm good. I don't want to get bit by that thing.
Yeah, no, we're getting them up here too now. They're in Canada, so.
No way.
Yeah, it's not.
They're taking over, man.
Yeah, they're taking over. Yeah, time to set some traps.
Yeah, get your baseball bats ready.
Yeah. All right, Jeremiah. So thanks a lot. That does it for another episode of 3rd and 1. I'd like to thank you for coming on to the show, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Oh, man, thank you so much. But before we go, I do want to touch on one more thing. Just one more thing, Ryan.
Yep, we got time for sure.
All right, for sure. Just to get it straight for all the people out there that go on Google, type my name, and they see Washington on there. I never played for Washington. My wife hates it when people say that. I never played for Washington. I went in there, signed a contract, and walked out of there 14 hours later because they wanted to go another way. So I never really got on the field with Washington, never put on a helmet, cleats, nothing with burgundy and yellow, but I did get paid from them. So there it is.
Well, at least they paid you, right?
Yeah, Absolutely.
Dude, I'm a big Philadelphia Eagles fan. I've got a Redskins jersey in my closet. I'm not even lying. RG3.
Oh, there you go. He nice though. He nice though.
Yeah, he is nice. All right, Jeremiah. Thanks again for coming on to the show. And we'll chat again. Hopefully we can do this again soon.
Oh, absolutely, man. This is a great show, man. I see a lot of big things coming from this show, man. You're doing a great job, Ryan.
Thanks again. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Have a good one.